This is probably the tool I use the most, and then I also have this pen for the paperwork that they give me. The money's going the wrong way when this is in my hand.
Welcome. Welcome to Drakewell State Park, the birthplace of the world's oil industry. The Pipp organization, Pennsylvania Independent Petroleum Producers, was founded in 1985.
For 153 years, we've been producing Penn-grade crude. And Penn-grade crude is not tar-based Western or Mideast crude, which we need to replace. It's paraffin-based crude. Folks, this same area that we've been drilling for 150 years has the finest trout streams maybe in the country, certainly in Pennsylvania, everywhere.
17 million acres of forest in Pennsylvania today, and it's getting larger every year. That's what's happened to our forest.
I love living in the country, and I can assure you that we are the true stewards of the environment.
Come to northwestern Pennsylvania to see how we have taken care of our environment and how this industry has lived side by side with our environment.
And then you look in the background and you see that we live in the most beautiful area of the state of Pennsylvania. I'm proud to represent this area. This is not a partisan issue. This is a fairness issue. This is about some big government people trying to change the rules in midstream when it makes no common sense whatsoever. This is a different industry than the big shale gas producers, and that we know how to and want to keep our communities clean and safe, and we will continue to do that.
Act 13 was passed over a year ago with no consideration for the small operator. The cost of drilling one of our shallow wells and equipping it with new equipment and the fracking and all involved is approximately 1% of the cost of a Marcellus or Utica well.
And there was no logical reason for this industry to be placed in with the new shale industry. Now, I'm very supportive of the shale industry. I don't mean that to be negative. But it's huge wells, 6,000 to 7,000 feet deep, enormous gas pressures. We know when it started in Pennsylvania, they struggled to control those pressures because it was abnormal. It was often higher pressure than they expected.
Most of the Marcellus wells require a 5-acre plot at least. Shallow wells can be drilled on a 50 by 50 foot square.
It's not acceptable. I think it's irresponsible for the state to say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you've got to change the way you operate, and not work with this industry to come up with acceptable, environmental sound options for the management of brine.
But we have this other growing fourth branch of government that is very, very difficult to hold accountable.
New regulations that we are facing today are proposed at a time when our industry is already at grave risk. New conventional well completions are on a steady decline from over 4,000 wells just 6 years ago to less than 1,000 this year. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the state of our industry.
It's only obvious that you don't have the same regulations for two things that are totally different.
We should not be regulated the same as unconventional wells because their industry is completely different than ours.
The economic impact is tremendous. When I think of the area that I represent, with the ARG refinery, 360 jobs.
ARG buys its crude from nearly 450 Pennsylvania oil producers. Just the top 15 of those employ approximately 500 local individuals. Since 1997, we have purchased more than 109 million barrels of Pennsylvania-grade crude oil. We distribute oil royalties to more than 50,000 landowners and interest holders.
Every job matters.
I'm employed by Allegheny Well Service. Allegheny Well Service was formed in 1976 by my dad. I've got, like I said, 6 valuable employees that we rely on, and they rely on us to keep them busy. And I just had a baby girl. She's 6 months. One of the guys that work for us, he just had a baby girl. I would say she's a month and a half. I just hope that this industry can last out so I can continue to provide for my children and so that my employees can continue to provide for their family.
We've heard so many stories of fourth generation, fifth generation.
I'm a fourth generation independent producer in the Bradford area.
And I am a fourth generation oilman.
I am a fourth generation oil producer. My son, who just turned 50, is a fifth.
My name's Rich McComb, and I'm a fifth generation in my family to work in the oil field. This is probably the tool I use the most, and then I also have this pen for the paperwork that they give me. Now I'm going to give an oil field economics lesson to the people in Harrisburg. When I'm running this, we're making money, we're fixing leaks, we're protecting the environment, we're moving ahead. Now this, you have to use it a little bit for some things, but usually when you're writing it, you're writing checks or something. The money's going the wrong way when this is in my hand. So that's the message I have for Harrisburg. Thank you very much.